Here are a few tips to inculcate the habit of reading. Firstly, you are a role model for your child. So it is important that the child sees you reading a lot of books. And when we say you, it refers to people in the house. It could be both the parents, it could be the sibling. So the moment they see you reading books, the children have a great fondness to observe and mimic whatever they see around. So they will pick up something and start reading. So firstly, to develop that love for reading, you have to be the role model. Second, it is important to have a fixed time for reading with your child. So you could choose the time according to your convenience or what suits the baby and you, or it depends on, maybe it could be a lunchtime or it could be maybe the bedtime. So fix a particular time and adhere to that because it is very, very important. And when you're reading to the child, keep the book in such a position so that the child is able to see the book and is also able to see the movement of your finger from word to word as you're reading. So, as you read from left to right, you move your finger when you're reading that. It is important the child is able to relate the print to what you're saying. It is also very important that when you're reading to the child, you have to do it with a lot of expression. Expression doesn't mean just in terms of, gestures or facial expression. We're also talking about expression in terms of modulating the voice. So there are various characters in that particular book. So make sure that you have a voice associated with each of the character because the child gets really excited when he knows that, okay, it's a gruff voice, it is somebody else who's talking as an adult or maybe a wild animal, etc. So try and modulate your voice because children find that really, really interesting. Other thing is you have to offer variety to the children. So do not stick to a particular type of books, offer a different variety. It is important maybe you start with books which the children like because that's something you want them to develop a love for reading. So, as an adult, maybe you want certain values to be inculcated in the child and you want to pick up a certain book. But it is also important that the child has to love that. So, start with what the child likes. For example, the child likes cars, pick up a book on cars and start that. If the child likes fantasy, the child likes fairies, pick up some book based on that. So it could be a variety. You start with what the child likes and then move on to a bigger range of books. So I'd also suggest a few of those books depending on the age group, etc. Uh, when do you start reading is another question that the parents ask. And you can start with books for the children right from 6 months onwards. You have such lovely books which are plastic coated, which the children can actually see the big pictures because the pictures are big and it is plastic coated so you can take it, play, during water play or while you're having a bath, etc. So let the child get used to the books. So that's very important. And as they grow, it's also important that you take them to the various shops and also allow them to choose the books because then it becomes an ownership. Oh, this is a book that I chose. So what you could basically do, the child may not know which particular book to read and to choose, etc. You could pick up a few, maybe half a dozen of books and say, these are some books which we have. Which one would you like? I would like to get one for you as a gift. So gifts are extremely good and giving books as gifts is a very good idea. So try and do that. So among those books which you have laid out, the child would, pick up something of his or her interest. So that way the child is also involved and starts learning to take care. So that's another important thing. While you are reading books, etc., make sure that you handle the books with care. Make sure that you take care of the books. So when you're doing that, the child also knows that the child has to take care of his or her books. So that ownership comes in. So the value for the book also is developed in that particular child. And also have a lot of discussion at home about the books that you're reading. So when you're doing that, automatically the child after reading says, yes, I also read this book. I know I like this. So involve them in such discussions. Let them know that books are highly important for us as a family, as a culture. So what are the different types of books that you can actually bring for children? So for the ages say 3 to 5 onwards, you have a lot of these books written by Eric Carle, which is really very interesting. So you have The Hungry Caterpillar, you have Brown Bear, Brown Bear. You also have a lot of Indian authors. I like Rohini Nilekani's. She writes under the pen name of Noni, and there are various interesting books that are there, and that one of them would be that annual haircut day, which is really interesting. We also have Geeta Dharmarajan, who writes extremely good books. So there is a very simple idea with which she starts in this particular book called The Famous Smile, and how it brings about a smile in the child's face. So that's really interesting. Some of the Indian authors are really good for this age group. You also have a lot of other authors in the age group of say 5 to 8 also. You have Sudha Murthy, who's written books on very short stories. You can try Devdutt Patnaik. That's a very interesting book that I came across. It's called Saraswati Secret River. So this is where a principal of a school is actually walking on the corridors and finds goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati is the goddess of learning. She finds her searching here and there for something, and then she comes to know that actually Saraswati is searching for her river, the secret river, and she's looking around for it. So it's very interesting for the children. Children like these kind of adventurous, enthusiastic, and mystery kind of things where they are going to get ready to solve it. 8 to 10 years, they are ready for a variety of different types of stories, adventure, humor, drama, classics. You can offer a lot of them. Ruskin Bond is an interesting author you can definitely introduce the children to. You also have R.K. Narayan, who's written a lot of these books, which you can definitely incorporate. Also, post reading, it's important to get the child engaged in that. So you could maybe maintain a journal and ask the child to maintain the journal, like how you maintain it for yourself, what book you read, what are the points that you really liked in that, and maybe would you have wanted to change the ending in a different way, etc. You maintain a journal for yourself, and looking at that, the child will also maintain a journal. The child can write in whatever way he or she is happy to express it about. So let them write it saying, and they realize that they'll write the particular story, the entire storybook that they've gone through, maybe in a sentence or two, and slowly they will start increasing that. So that's how a lot of creative writing also comes in terms of, okay, this is what I read, maybe I would like to change the story, the climax to this particular way. That's very interesting. You could also have a follow-up activity for the child. The follow-up activity could be something like a role play, using some props at home what you have, and you can use this as a magic wand or something like that, and then you can say, okay, this is the way I'm going to find it out. Maybe a sword if there's a warrior involved, etc. Whatever. You could use role play with a lot of props that you can use from home. The other thing is you could use art medium. You can use a lot of drawing. Ask the child to draw. Okay, what is the gist of the story that you've read? And also maybe draw, color, use some craft activity, etc. It could be a puppet that you want to make. So anything that is related to the story or the character of the story, have a little bit of a recap to it. So that will be really interesting. So engage the children, and of course, always encourage the children when you start reading to the children right from the front page. What is there? Because for the little children, you have a lot of visuals, you have a lot of pictures which are there. Let them have a look at it. Introduce the author. So it's not just about the story, it's also about the author, it's about the illustrator. So right from the beginning, when they know that there are things, then slowly after a certain stage, when they've done the role play, etc., you can ask them to write a book. So when they write a book, they will have the topic or the book or the particular name that they want to give to their story, and then they will write, okay, the author, they will write their name, maybe illustrator, if they are going to draw certain things, they will write it. So this way you will encourage your child to get into the habit of reading, and slowly that starts developing into writing too. So it's very important. Try out these tips, and maybe in the comment section do share your feedback.